Hello, hello, everybody. Bree Sedano here, coming to you live. Today, we are going to talk about positive, negative thoughts, and really using your words and using your thoughts to find kind of where your vibe is and to really feel the direction of where you're pulling your attention. So, super, super excited to talk about this. This is like a really good talk. So, I am thrilled to do it. You'll learn a lot. It's going to be quick. We'll be on for just a little while. All right. So if this is your first time getting to know me, please say hello in the comments so that way I know that you're here and I can welcome you and say hello. I've been doing a lot more lives inside of the Cash Confident community, and we've been having a ton of new people joining. So very, very exciting. Also, if you are watching this video and you're inside the Cash Confident with Bree Sedano Facebook group, please feel free to invite your friends. I put a lot of content in here for free, and it's always delicious, it's always juicy, and you are welcome. I encourage you, please invite your friends if that feels good for you. All right, and if you're somebody who watches live all the time, please say hello so that way I know that you're here and I can say hi to you. All right, so let's get into it. So when we think about, like, a lot of times when people are talking about positive thinking, positive words, there's a little bit of an oversimplification there, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with making things like simple so that way everybody can understand, but it does leave a lot to where if you're a little unsure or if you're feeling a little internally conflicted, I don't know, I've certainly done it where I ended up like beating myself up about maybe feeling negative or maybe talking negative or maybe complaining. Has that ever happened? I know that we have a few people live, but give me a heart or like if that's ever happened like to you, if you've ever been thinking about something and you're like, wow, I'm really getting negative about this, or you've been talking and you're like, wow, I'm really complaining, I'm really being so negative. Um, so here's what I do when I'm listening to my clients, when I'm listening to people talk about like what it is they're trying to achieve. When I'm listening to their words, I don't get to hear all of their thoughts, but when I listen to the words, generally I'm listening to the direction. So I'm gonna explain this. All right. So let's just say you have a thing that you're going to do today. You're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to buy a handful of things, and you want to be back home to your house in 30 minutes. And let's say for whatever reason that's a challenge, right? If your thoughts and words are going in the direction of negative, so we'll just put those over here. If you have negative thoughts or words, it's going to be bringing up like it's impossible. It's going to be pointing out all of the obstacles. It's going to be pointing out all of the challenges. It's going to be uh, really, really getting into your self doubt about yourself or your self doubt about the ability to get something done. So those thoughts or words may be things like, it's definitely impossible to get back and forth to the store and get your things done in like 30 minutes. Like, definitely not going to happen, definitely not possible. And this is a really simple example, right? And maybe things like, well, if you hit the red lights, and you're gonna hit the red lights because you have bad luck. You have the literal worst luck. So if you're in a hurry, you know that you're gonna hit all the red lights. All right. So that thought is going in one direction. The obstacles, like you don't even know where all the stuff is. So you might even use your thoughts to be like, there's been supply chain issues. There's probably not even all of the things that you need. You're probably going to run around the store and you're not even going to be able to find the things that you're here for. You're not going to be able to get them. They're not going to be available to you. Right. So like, we hear that. We can hear our doubt. We can hear like, you don't walk that fast. You're not going to be able to get in and out of the store. It's not going to work. Right. Like, I don't know. I've definitely had some wild thoughts and things about, maybe not necessarily going to the grocery store. But if you have your thoughts in a positive direction, you're going to be like, all right, is it possible? Yeah. Yeah. All right. It usually takes 10 minutes to get there, 10 minutes to get back. If I can get in and out of the store in 10 minutes, all right, it'll be a tight squeeze, but it's totally possible. You're going to be thinking like, all right, well, maybe I'm going to hit all the green lights. What would it be like if I hit all the green lights? Maybe I could get there in 8 minutes and get an extra 2 minutes at the store. You're going to be looking at planning. So maybe while you're driving, you're going to be thinking about where all the stuff is. So that way you can get in and you like map, you map your thoughts in and out of the store. you're going to be encouraging yourself like, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, you got this. All right, so just make sure that you stay focused. We don't want to get we want to like avoid any like talking, bumping into the neighbors or things like that. So we're just going to stay focused. We're just going to stay on it. And so listen, when we go in those two things, when I say these things out loud, I hope it gives you a little bit of clarity of like the direction of the thoughts, right? And so sometimes when we are using our thoughts to create the world that we want to live in, they go in two directions. Like sometimes we have a little bit of internal conflict. Like I really want to do this, but maybe there's a better option. Maybe we could do it different ways. And that's all fine. But I think it's really worth. And so the way that I kind of think about like negative thinking is that those thoughts are just moving you further away from your goal. It's like a lot of times negative thinking is focusing on problems, um, focusing on obstacles, really focusing on our shortcomings. And what it does is it pulls our attention, right? So let's just say this is my attention. I'm looking at my camera, right? I'm talking to you. And when I'm thinking negative thoughts, it pulls my attention away from my goal. Like if my goal was over here by I keep looking at my doorway, right? So if my goal is over here by my doorway, but I'm focusing on my attention out my window, then that's what's going to be growing. And so a lot of time we're like really where this ends up coming for people is a lot of times when we're trying to create more money, when we're trying to create more abundance, when we're trying to create more wealth in our lives, a lot of times we're focused on what we don't have so that we're going in that direction. We're focused on what we need, going in that direction. We're focusing on our obstacles, we're focusing on our lack. All of that goes in one direction. And when we take our thoughts and we pull them in the direction opposite to the thing that we're moving toward, which is abundance, we're going to feel one, it's going to feel bad, right? Like if you're trying to create a more abundant life, but you're constantly focused on scarcity, need, lack, problems, obstacles, things in your way, like what does that feel like? That feels bad, right? That's gonna make everything feel harder. It's gonna feel discouraging. You're gonna feel disappointment. And you're going to make decisions from that place because you're going to be putting your attention in that place, right? So like there's a saying out there that says like, what is it, self-doubt will kill more dreams than failure ever will. And it's true because if you're focusing on your shortcomings, you're gonna have further to go to get you to the place that you're trying to go. And so I kind of think about it like negative thoughts, obviously in real life we're not taking action, we're just thinking, but it's like on that energetic level, on that thought level, it's like if you think 100 negative thoughts, you're going to have to think 100 positive thoughts just to get you back to neutral, and then think another 100 positive thoughts to get some momentum going in a good direction. And so one of the things that you want to learn how to do, and one of the things that we talk about like inside the Cash Confident community, is starting to really listen to your words, right? Like really starting to pay attention to your thoughts, really starting to stalk your mind a little bit, because our mind leads our focus and our focus leads our energy. And so let me bring this down to like earth for you, because that's a very like woo woo statement. But the truth is, if you were right now, if you were to think, let's say 15 things about any lover that you've ever had that has thoroughly pissed you off, and you start looking back at like old things that pissed you off, you'll probably find a zillion. First, you'll like make some momentum there, and then you'll be thinking about the time your boss pissed you off, and then you'll be thinking about the time your kids pissed you off. And within a few minutes, without going anywhere, without talking to anybody, just by the power of your mind, you could probably work yourself into a full state of pissed off. Give me a heart or a like if you know that you have that power, that you know that your mind could drag you into a full state of pissed off right now. Give me a heart or a like if you know that you could do that. And the same thing works for a positive thing. Like if you recounted all of your gratitudes today, if you looked at how beautiful your life is, if you looked at all of the beautiful things, all of the ways that life delighted you today, you would feel very, very different. So when I say that your your thoughts lead your focus and your focus leads your energy, that's what I'm talking about. But where that energy ends up is massively important because it impacts the way that you make decisions. Right now, let's just say on your drive home today, you're thinking about all of the ways that your husband has ever pissed you off, and you get home, and you're like, get out of the car, you're like ready for a fight. you're like already mad. You're like, "Meh." If you use that same car ride to think about all the reasons, you love him and you're obsessed and he's wonderful and he's great at this and he's great at that and he takes such good care of you and da. You're gonna get out and it's that mood, that vibe that you get out of the car with is drastically going to impact your evening. Can we agree? Give me a heart or like if you're with me, or say yes in the comments if you're like yes, absolutely. And so this is where we want to start. Like, this is why you want to pay attention to your thoughts, right? Like, you want to start to notice where your thoughts are going. Because for so many of us, our thoughts are going to go into like, we're going to be looking at obstacles. We're going to be looking at potential problems. We're going to be looking at self doubt. We're going to be looking at things that we think are impossible. And listen, being able to focus your attention on the negative to get a like realistic grounded view on something is a great skill to have. It's a beautiful idea, right? Like, so when I'm planning a lunch, I'm going to look at obstacles, right? Like, I'm going to say, all right, well, should I start this, should I finish this lunch on Christmas Day? Yeah, probably not. I'm probably not going to do that. That's an unnecessary timing issue, right? Like, am I going to do the, like, if I don't have all of the tools, all of the resources that I need, I may need to get those tools first. So there's not necessarily anything wrong with your focus going toward the obstacles, going toward the challenges, going toward those things, because you can adjust, you can rectify. So there's, it's not like it's a problem per se. It can be a great thing to be able to do. But then we want to take that attention, rectify whatever's going on, wherever these challenges, obstacles, wherever we find these impossibilities, and then we want to redirect our attention toward the thing that it is that we want. And so it's super, super interesting when I'm talking to clients, the way that when I listen to them talk, a lot of times their words and energy are all over the place. It'll be like, well, I really want to make a lot of money, but I don't want to do it this way. And I'm like, okay. And again, this leads to some clarity. There's no judgment. There's nothing wrong about this. Or it'll be like, all right, well, I want to pay off my credit card debt, and I'm just honestly, and so paying off your credit card debt is a zero. Like, we're trying to get to zero, right? But then they're focused on the debt, then they're focused on the debt, then they're focused on the debt, then they're shuffling their debt, then they're touching their debt, then they're focusing their attention on the debt. And then what happens? Their debt grows. So for debt, for example, that's a big thing. That's a big thing that comes up. So when I'm working with clients, I'm like getting out of debt forever, like getting out of debt in perpetuity. Like, we're going to turn our attention to the negative to be like, what habits got us here? That's valuable information to be looking in that like direction of like, how did this problem come to be? That's going to be facing in the negative direction. If we stay there too long, it's going to be unhelpful. It's going to be beating ourselves up. It's going to be regret. It's going to be this and that. But like, at the end of the day, like, the information that we require is there. Like, we need to go look. We need to see. All right. So we want to look at those habits. We want to look at any patterns. We want to look at any behaviors. What caused all this? So that way we could take that and like address those things. And then we can start to move forward. So instead of looking at the habits that are wrong, we want to say, all right, well, what good habits do we want to put in place? How do we do this better? How do we get this done? Right? Like, that's really the magic sauce. And when we think about, like, if you like really focus on your debt, if you were most of the time when people think about their money, they total up their debts. And then they are total up all of their negative money. And that has a feeling. If you total up all of your negative accounts, you're gonna all of your debt, your mortgage, your credit cards, your loans, your cars, whatever, you might end up feeling disappointed. You might end up feeling bad, right? So it's like that focus leads that attention. But when you want to get out of debt forever, you want to focus on having money, right? Because that's in that direction. And once you get used to having money, then you stop needing money, and then you can get out of debt in like perpetuity, and stay out of debt, because then you focus on your habits, and then you focus on your new savings habits, right? And then you look at doing all of the right things, and then that crowds out that like more negative thoughts, negative habits, negative actions, negative, vibe around money, negative decision making. And then you can do it, um in perpetuity. But the thing that's tricky and the thing that I think, I've been studying law of attraction, I've been studying manifestation for literally like 10 years. And the thing that I think is so hard is that when we think about a thing that we want, a lot of times we're also thinking about the thing that we don't want. And then we're really, our energy is really vibing real loud in two different directions. So like when I want to make a lot of money, for most people, they're simultaneously not wanting to be poor. So it's like, I want to make a lot of money. I don't want to be poor. Right. But those two things are they're not the same direction. Like they're really going in two different directions. Um, Energetically, at least. Cause like it was also energetically, if you think I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be poor, you're gonna end up feeling that lack feeling. You're gonna end up feeling that scarcity. You're gonna end up feeling that. That's gonna be the vibe, right? And so sometimes the other thing about law of attraction that is a little confusing is that like the words that you say don't really matter. It's the vibe that you say. So when you're thinking I don't want to be poor, the underlying assumption there is that I am poor, and then that scares me, right? Give me a heart or a like if you're with me, or or just a like a little comment so that way I know that this is all making sense to you all. So that can make things a little complicated, right? And so when our thoughts and our actions and our words and our energies are going in two different directions, we have a lot of internal conflict. What's going to end up happening is our manifestations are going to end up real sloppy. Like they're going to end up being all over the place because our energy's all over the place. And so it's worth it to learn, like it's worth it to say, all right, I'm going to think 10 thoughts. I'm going to think 10 thoughts toward my goal. And now I'm going to think 10 thoughts away from my goal. And I'm going to think, and it's worth it to practice this so that way you understand what these thoughts sound like if you do it on purpose. Like, all right, I'm going to think 10 negative thoughts about myself right now. And you hear them and you know that they're negative and it helps you to like train your brain. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to think 10 positive things about myself right now that are going to boost me up, that are going to encourage me. And then you know what those positive thoughts sound like. And then from there, you start to get that awareness of like, what direction is this thought going? Is this thought going in the direction of how I want to feel today? Is this thought going in the direction of my goals? Or is this thought going in the opposite direction? And it takes a quite a bit of practice to really wrangle your mind and to really get yourself just consistently moving in one direction, really focusing in one direction. And in all fairness, most of us, when we have these cell phones, our attention span is really like quite small, right? Our focus and advertising and noises and notifications and people knocking on your door, all of these things are taking your focus, right? So it's like your focus can really get like real wobbly. But it's worth it to learn, all right, I'm going to focus my attention toward my goal. I'm going to paint a picture of it in my mind. I'm going to think 100 thoughts in the direction of my goal. That's really, really worth doing because it's the times when we're really not paying attention that our mind gets really loud, really noisy. And I feel like negative thoughts, at least for me, I can't say for every single person, but they tend to get a lot more momentum faster, right? Like if I'm thinking like, oh, good thoughts, good thoughts, good thoughts, I feel like they can they don't get quite as much momentum. But if I'm really thinking hard thoughts, negative thoughts, if I'm really beating myself up, I feel like that somehow moves quite a bit faster. So it's worth doing to kind of check in with yourself and be like, what is the direction of my thoughts? And so I'm bringing this up. Actually, I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. So I have the most wonderful, wonderful client in Cash Confident. We were talking about her manifesting of, she's manifesting, right? So listen, and we're manifesting all day, whether or not we're doing it on purpose, right? And so she comes to the call, and inside the Cash Confident community, we have these things called money mentorship calls, and twice a month people bring me like, their money tangles, and we just work on it. So she tells me, she's like, I am supposed to be going on vacation. I'm manifesting like I had plumbing issues. I had to bring my dog to the vet. And so like she's got like $3,000-4,000 of unexpected expenses. And I was like, interesting, interesting. And so I said, all right, well, what would you be using that money for? And she was like, oh, my April vacation. I was like, all right, well, let's just think about that for a second. Why don't you just take a second and really notice how you actually feel when you really think about your April vacation. And she was like, when I really think about it, I feel a lot of stress in my body. And she goes on to tell me some stories about like the stuff going on in her vacation. She's like, there's a long drive, and I don't really want to take, and I'm taking my dogs, and it's kind of hard. And I go see, this person, and they're okay. It's like a person she loves, right? And um and then I go up this way and I go see my friends, and da da da, and the vacation feels very busy, feels a little stressful. And I was like, all right. So that internal conflict, right? So listen, on one side, look at we're playing with this. So on one side, she's probably excited about the vacation. She's taken the time off. She saved the money. That's it. She's taken some actions. But on the other side of those unexamined thoughts, those thoughts that she wasn't paying attention to, she doesn't really want to go. And so that internal conflict. So when we're talking about like the signal that we're sending out to the universe, it's a really muddy, because she's like, I want to go, I don't want to go. I want to go, I don't want to go. I'm taking action towards going. I took my time off. I have all, I took the time off. I did these things, but I really don't want to go. And so what does the universe do? The universe gives her a perfect excuse to not go. She gets the chance to shore up that conflict. Right? The universe gives her a few $1,000s of expenses that gets in the way. And so it's the perfect excuse to not go. Give me a heart or a like if you're with me, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, if you're tracking with me. And that's why it's really, really worth it to notice, to pay attention to where you are with your thoughts, to pay attention to with where your words are, and to pay attention to where you are with your feelings. And something that happens, that sometimes, like, we talk about this in the Cash Confident community all the time, is you may have thoughts that, like, consciously you've trained. You may be saying your affirmations, you may be, doing, writing things down and journaling, and doing that conscious level activity, but your body may not be on board, your subconscious may not be on board. So you may be like saying things like, I am already rich. I am the flow of abundance. I am a wealthy, wealthy woman. I am a motherfucking champion. But your body is like, that I'm afraid, and I am in scarcity, and I'm not feeling good. Right? Let me know if you've ever felt that dissonance where something seems like it should be going great, but you're like, I don't want to do it. Right? Like, that happens all the time. That's usually our body giving us a signal. Anyways, these were my thoughts that I wanted to leave with you today. So I want you to, so like, if you take something away from this call today, I want you to really start to pay attention to, are these thoughts moving me in a great direction, or are these thoughts moving me away in a direction? Right? Are these thoughts, look at Natasha Hall says, me in business, are these thoughts moving me toward my income goal, or are these thoughts moving me away from my income goal? Are these thoughts making me feel better about myself, or are these thoughts and words making me feel worse about myself? Because the answer to that question really, really matters. Like, you're going to have a hard time achieving your goals if you're really focusing your attention on self-doubt. And so sometimes we have to really consciously retrain ourselves, train our mind to do these, to shift directions. And sometimes when you're in a state of internal conflict, sometimes you just got to get somebody to listen to you, so that way you can hear all of the words coming out of your mouth, because yeah, because it's that direction piece. And when you're in a state of internal conflict, when you're in your, like, decision making state, those are the things that you're going to bring up. Like, right, like, anybody ever make a pros and cons list about, like, keeping a boyfriend or breaking up with him, or starting a business or not starting a business, and you're like, I don't, man, I feel really internally conflicted about this, and then you make the pros and cons list, and you're like, oh, this is much more clear, right? And that's really helpful. So something like a pros and cons list helps to make, your internal thoughts, words, feelings kind of more up to the surface. Anyways, I want to take a second, and I want to talk about the Cash Confident community for a minute, because it's open right now. It's open for enrollment, and so I would just want to invite you. I want to tell you about it and see if you would like to join me there. So the Cash Confident community it's my core offer. It's like my signature thing that I am doing, that my clients are we're doing together. And it is really a place of transformation. It's really a place where people are coming in, they're learning skills to manage their money on a practical level, they're learning financial habits like to last a lifetime, they're learning not just about like good money mindset, but how to change their mindset, how to shift their perceptions. Like cool little things about like what we're talking about today, how to look at their thoughts, are they negative and positive? How to like evaluate internal conflict, like that just that money mindset piece, which I really love and I think is so valuable because it's not just money that you can apply it to. Like inside the Cash Confident community, we apply it to money, but all of these techniques, everything that you learn is stuff that you can really take to work, take to your relationships, take to your mothering, whatever it is. And then we work on like the emotional piece of money, that emotional intelligence piece of money. And then we have a community that's like loving and supportive and all of the things. And so the way that the clients are really getting, like I'm seeing my clients get big results, like paying for their vacations in cash, paying off their credit card debt, having $10,000 in their savings account for the first time ever, getting big raises, 20% raises, 55% raises, $10,000 raises. We're really seeing the clients thrive, and it's because we're working on all of these different layers of our money. We're working on the practical, working on the habits, the mindset, the emotional, the community aspect. And so the community is open right now. It will be open and right now we actually even have like a super sweet bonus for anybody who joins in the next couple of days. Um, and so inside the community, the way that we're getting clients to get these like really big transformations is I go through the courses live one at a time. Clients get all of the recorded courses so they can go at their own pace and poke around if they choose to. So up next, we just finished Money Mindset Bootcamp. We're going to go into a course called Find Your Bleed, which really, really teaches on intentional spending. And we're doing spending audits with that course. And so if you're ever broke because you think you spend too much money, like you want to join this community now, because the work that we're going to be doing in there is so powerful, right? Like I teach clients to look at their money like time, money, energy, and really put in place plans that are realistic, that are sustainable, that make sense, and that really meet their like time constraints and their emotional needs. And that's why these plans work so much better. So we go through the courses. Then we do 6 live calls a month that you're welcome to come. So we do 2 calls a month on money mentorship, and that's where we're talking about mindset, we're talking about manifestation, we're helping clients get to their goals faster. We're doing 2 calls a month on spending audits or transaction reviews. Sometimes I call them both sometimes. And that's where clients bring their transactions and I review them. I review their transactions and then I give them customized suggestions based on what's going on about like what habits to change and ways to save time, money, and energy all at the same time, right? And like I have a really cool perspective because I've read thousands, maybe tens of thousands of statements over the years. And so, I'm really good at this. And then we have accountability calls. And accountability calls are we hold this space. We're quiet. We come get our work done. And if you have questions, we answer them for you, but that's really another huge benefit of just like putting your money work in your calendar, coming onto a meeting and doing it like in the presence of other people. Like so many of our clients benefit tremendously from doing that. And right now we have some extra sweet bonuses inside of that community to help you get like those really fast results. And I'll tell you like, so the first bonus that we're doing, the big bonus that's like expires on the 25th, is that anybody who joins the Cash Confident community now to the 25th gets like not a one-on-one private spending audit, but just a very small group spending audit where they're going to bring their transactions. And I will tell you, we had a client recently and we did a spending audit and she cut $750 a month of expenses in easy, sustainable ways. Right? She knew she was overspending. She's tried 1,000 budgets, in her lifetime. And we did that one meeting and she's thriving. She's got money in the bank for the first time ever. I talked to her the other day. She's got money in the bank. She's got money in an envelope in her house. And for the first time in her whole life, she has money. And I think she's in her 50s. And that all came from like this one call. Like we did this all in one call. And so The spending audits, what we do is I go through your transactions with you and we look at them, and I look and I see, how many times are we doing this? How many, is there a way that we could be more efficient? Is there anything that you feel like is wasteful in your spending? And so for most of the people inside the cash confident community, they're coming in, they're getting like that kind of attention on their transactions. And then that frees up the money for them to then start to save. It frees up the money for them to start to become an investor. And not every single person has a financial bleed, but the vast majority do. And then what we find is generally the money that we save in the spending audits, like the money that we save there doing this kind of work, then pays for the community. So then it ends up being like all of their habit work, all of their money mindset transformations, all of their emotional alchemy, like all of that emotional intelligence just ends up being, I mean, it's not free, like, but it's free. Like it's like you are spending this much money on stuff that doesn't really make you happy, and then you cut that out, and then that makes time and space for you to pay off your debt and for you to go on vacation. And then inside the community we're doing the money mindset work, and that opens you up to make more. Um, and then after Find Your Bleed, we're going to be getting into 30 days to get a raise, and that's a class really around like seeing your worth, asking for raises, negotiating your prices. Um, it's super, super good stuff. So, anyways, it's open right now, and it's been open for like the last year, but we're gonna start to close it so that way inside of the community I could just really focus on the members that we have, and then we'll open it up, a couple times a year. So if it's something that you've been kind of on the fence about, like now is a great time to do it because we have all of these wonderful classes coming up. You get there's three other bonuses that you get if you join right now. They're quick guides. They're things to help you to get like super fast results. So there's one is like taking control of online shopping. Um, it gives you, I like break it down into like what's the root cause of the online shopping, and then it like breaks down solutions from there. Super, super useful. It's just a little quick, like a little quick guide, like a little PDF. But if you are spending a lot of money online, it helps you to pinpoint the actual problem super fast, and then you can address it from there. There's one called Should I Get a Better Job or a Better Budget? And it helps you. The tricky thing for this one is that most of the time overspending and under earning look the exact same on paper. And so I do make, it's a short video to go through all of the nuances. Like when I'm working with clients, how do we know where to focus our attention? Does it make more sense to try to make more money, or does it make more sense to be a better money manager? And I will tell you that there are clients that I've worked with, people who've literally spent years and years and years trying to solve the wrong problem to no result, right? And that's sad. We don't want to do that. Um, and then what is the other bonus? Can I take control of online shopping, better budget? Oh, and then the other one is really about emotional intelligence and how to stop stressing about money all the time. So I teach you some cool tricks and tips inside that bonus too. And so those you will get at the end of the launch, really, because we're still creating them for you. And the bonus. So the big bonus that's going to expire soon is the bonus where you'll get a very small group spending audit with the people that join the community right up front. And so you'll get a little one-on-one attention on your transactions. We'll go through. I'll give you customized, personalized advice on like what spending habits to change in what order, and like how long to be with everything. It's just super, super useful. It's one of those things where having somebody really look at your finances and give you, customized, pointed suggestions that are sustainable and make sense for you, it's just super, super powerful to being able to like actually stick with it. So anyways, I just want to invite you. I want to tell you that the community is open. I want to invite you. It's $100 a month. If you buy it for a whole year, it's even less than that. I think it's $74 a month if you commit, if you like pay for the whole year in advance. And literally, like we're seeing clients go through their spending and save thousands of dollars in a year. And that's like just on the first step. Like they're seeing those kind of results before they even look at their habits, before they even look at their mindset, before they even look at their feelings, just on that. Inside the community, you'll learn how to build a system called the Invisible System, which is like a no budget system to manage household finances. And it's motherfucking life changing. You're going to learn how to change your limiting beliefs. You're going to learn how to identify and change your limiting beliefs. You're going to learn how to identify and challenge your emotions. You're going to learn how to move through emotions. like super, super powerful work, like where you're going to come out like in a drastically different financial situation in a year, but you're also going to come out like so much more powerful of a person. Your confidence will skyrocket. You're going to feel really confident in your relationship with money. You're going to feel like you knowing what you're doing. You're going to feel like you know how to make decisions. You're going to know how to do things like break beliefs. You're going to know how to stalk your mind. You're going to know how to drop a thought. You're going to learn about like shifting your perceptions and releasing attachment and using affirmations. Like there's so many cool techniques that you will learn that you can apply. I mean, I teach them in the context of money, but all of this stuff is transformation work. And so you can apply it to all the different areas of your life. All right. So that is my talk for you today. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you later.